One day, a package appeared on my doorstep. It didn't have a return address, only my name, Serafina West, written in fancy handwriting that looked a little familiar. Inside the package, there was a vintage perfume bottle wrapped in soft, cream-colored paper. The perfume inside was a warm amber color. I carefully picked up the bottle, and a note fell out. The note said, "This is who you'll become." The words made me feel a little scared. The perfume smelled so familiar, like something my mother-in-law, Lillian, used to wear. I knew that scent, a mix of jasmine and vanilla. My name is Serafina, and I married Lucas 6 months ago. His family is rich and important. His mom, Lillian, can be a little difficult, but Lucas says I'm just being paranoid. But after things like this happen, I start to wonder if I'm right. "Come on, honey. We're going to be late," Lucas called from downstairs. It was time for Sunday dinner at his parents' house, a tradition I wasn't looking forward to. I slipped the perfume bottle into my purse, thinking it might be important. The car ride to the Prescott mansion was quiet. Lucas reached over and held my hand. "Mom's trying, in her own way," he said, trying to comfort me. I wanted to tell him about the perfume, but what would I say? That I thought his mom might be sending me weird threats. He'd probably think I was going crazy. When we arrived, Lucas's dad, Raymond, greeted us with a warm hug. "There's my favorite daughter-in-law," he smiled. I laughed. "I'm your only daughter-in-law, Raymond." My nerves started to relax. Then Lillian appeared. She looked perfect as usual in a fancy dress. "Serafina, darling," she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "That's an interesting scent you're wearing." I froze. I hadn't put on any perfume that day. "Actually, I'm not wearing any perfume," I said, watching her closely. For a second, I thought I saw something in her eyes, maybe surprise or worry, but she quickly covered it up. "How strange," she said, and walked away. Lucas didn't notice anything, but I saw Raymond watching his wife with a strange look. The perfume bottle in my purse felt heavier, like a secret that was about to come out. Whatever game Lillian was playing, I knew she had just given me a clue. But what was she going to do next? 3 days later, I was alone in the kitchen, staring at my phone. Lucas had sent me a text saying he was working late again. This was the 3rd time that week. I couldn't shake the feeling that Lillian was behind his sudden late nights at work. Everything seemed different since that Sunday dinner. Small things that made me feel like something big was coming. The doorbell rang. It was Raymond. He was holding a worn leather folder. "I thought you might want some company," he said kindly. "Maybe a drink?" I invited him inside and made us both a drink from Lucas's special whiskey. Raymond set the folder on the counter. He started, swirling the drink in his glass. Lillian wasn't always like this. There was a time when she was different. Different? What happened? I asked. Raymond pushed the folder toward me. "Take a look, but be careful who you show this to." Inside the folder, I found old newspaper clippings about accidents and financial problems with the Prescott Company. In every photo, Lillian was there, watching in the background. I didn't understand, but my stomach started to feel tight. Raymond's phone buzzed, and his face turned serious as he read the message. "Lillian's asking where I am," he said. "Listen, Serafina, there's more to tell you, but not tonight. Just watch yourself at the charity gala tomorrow." After he left, I tried calling Lucas again, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I was about to give up when my phone buzzed again. It wasn't Lucas. It was his brother Julian. "Need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Coffee tomorrow morning. Important." I was just about to put my phone down when I noticed something outside the kitchen window. A shadowy figure was standing in our backyard, watching. By the time I got to the door, they were gone. But on the doormat was another crystal perfume bottle, and the note said, "Ask about Isabella." My hands shook as I picked up the bottle. The perfume inside was different, darker and heavier, like it was hiding a secret. Who was Isabella? And why did Raymond seem scared of his wife? I put the second bottle in my dresser drawer behind my wedding photos. I needed to be ready for whatever would happen at the charity gala the next night. Lillian was playing a game, but was I just a pawn in it? The next morning, Julian met me at Riverside Coffee. He looked tired, his eyes dark from lack of sleep. I found something in the company archives, he said, sliding a yellow envelope across the table. You need to see this. Inside the envelope was an old photograph of a company Christmas party. I recognized a younger version of Raymond with a woman who wasn't Lillian. The woman's face looked familiar, almost like I was looking at my own reflection in a funhouse mirror. That's Isabella, Julian said quietly. She was Dad's first wife. I felt my stomach drop. Lucas never told me about her, I whispered. Julian nodded. He doesn't know. None of us did, until I started looking. Isabella disappeared right before Dad married Mom. They said she abandoned the family, but I found police reports, and they were never filed. I stared at the photo. Isabella was wearing a perfume bottle pendant, just like the ones I had received. There's more, Julian said, his voice serious. The company was going bankrupt back then. Then Lillian showed up with enough money to save it. 3 months later, she and Dad were married. Suddenly, the door to the coffee shop opened, and Lillian walked in. She spotted us immediately and walked over with her fake smile. Julian, darling. Serafina, how lovely to see you both conspiring. I mean catching up, she said, her voice sweet but too tight. She put a hand on my shoulder a little too hard. I hope you're still coming to the gala tonight. I've seated you next to Mrs. Collins. She wants to expand her perfume shops. It could be good for your career. After she left, Julian grabbed my wrist. Be careful, Serafina. The last person who looked into Isabella's disappearance had an accident at one of our construction sites. I felt a chill run down my spine. Something was very wrong, and I didn't know what to do next. Lucas was quickly packing a bag. I have to go, he mumbled, not looking at me. Mom needs me. Your mom needs you, I asked, holding up a photo of Isabella. Or does she need you away? Lucas stopped and stared at the photo. Where did you get that? Does it matter? I asked. What happened to her? Lucas didn't answer. He grabbed his bag and said, just drop it, Serafina. Please, for your own good. Then he left in his car. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It said, Isabella knew too much. Ask yourself, is the truth worth your life? I touched the perfume bottle pendant around my neck, a gift from my grandmother. In the photo of Isabella, she was wearing a pendant that looked just like mine. This wasn't just about me anymore. Something darker was hiding behind the Prescott family's perfect life, and Isabella's ghost was trying to reveal it. At a big charity event, the room was full of rich people and whispers. I watched Marina talk to everyone, but she kept an eye on me. I had been talking to Mrs. Collins about her perfume stores, but then she said Marina had already promised a contract to someone else. Quite the performance, isn't it? Raymond appeared beside me with a drink. Marina always knows how to put on a show, like she did with Isabella. My heart skipped a beat. What are you talking about? Before I could say more, Raymond quickly said, meet me in the library in 10 minutes. Then he loudly apologized for dropping his drink. I made my way through the big house and stopped when I heard voices coming from Marina's study. She's becoming a problem, I heard Marina say, just like Isabella was. Mom, you promised that was over, Lucas said. Nothing's ever over, Marina replied. I've sacrificed everything to protect this family. I've made people disappear. There was silence for a moment. Sometimes we have to make hard choices to protect what matters, Marina said. I quietly stepped away, my heart racing, and bumped into Julian. He looked at me and said, found something interesting. He led me to a door. Dad's old office, he said, where he kept the real company records. Julian used a key to open the door. And inside, everything was dusty except for a filing cabinet that looked like it had been opened recently. Someone's been here, I whispered. Julian pulled out a folder. These are the original contracts from when Marina saved the company. Look at the signature. I froze. The name on the paper matched the writing on my perfume bottle exactly, but it wasn't Marina's name. It was Isabella's. The money that saved the company. Julian said softly. It was never Marina's. Before I could say anything, I heard footsteps. Julian quickly put the folder back, but something caught my eye. A small diary behind a loose panel. I grabbed it just as the door opened. Marina stood there, and Lucas was behind her. What are you looking for? Marina asked with a cold smile. I held up Isabella's pendant. Where did you get that? She asked, her face losing color. Isabella had no family, she whispered. But suddenly, I realized something. Isabella wasn't just Raymond's first wife. She was my mother. I felt the diary burning in my purse all through the rest of the event. Marina kept glancing at me with a worried look. Raymond didn't show up for our meeting, and he was missing from the party. Marina stood up to make a toast. To family and the secrets that bind us, she said. Everyone raised their glasses. Serafina, Marina said with a sharp smile. Why don't you tell everyone about your exciting new job with Mrs. Collins's company? My stomach dropped. Lucas looked up at me. Didn't she mention it? Marina said, her smile too wide. She plans to leave her current job. Family loyalty means nothing these days. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. You want to talk about abandonment, Marina? I asked. Let's talk about Isabella's money, the contract she signed, and the real reason she disappeared. The room went completely quiet. Julian's hand rested on my arm. Careful, Serafina, he whispered. Marina's voice dropped to a quiet whisper. You're not the first to accuse me of things. Asked the inspector who fell sick while looking into Isabella's story. Are you threatening me? I asked. I'm protecting my family, Marina said coldly. Something your mother failed to do? The word mother hit me hard. Lucas stared at me. What is she talking about? I took out Isabella's pendant. Ask your mom why she really married your dad. Ask her what happened to his first wife. Marina's glass shattered in her hand, and her blood mixed with the champagne. Security, she called calmly. Please escort Mrs. Harper out. She's clearly unwell. Lucas looked at me, his face pale, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. The security guards came toward me, and I grabbed Isabella's diary from my purse and threw it on the table. The truth's all in there, Marina. It's your choice whether they read it here or in court. Julian stood up. I have copies of everything. For a moment, I saw Marina's perfect mask crack. She looked terrified. You're just like her, she hissed. Always trying to destroy what I built. No, I said, backing away from the guards. I'm here to finish what she started. I left the party with my head held high, Isabella's pendant burning against my skin. Behind me, I heard Lucas call my name, but Marina shouted, "Let her go." I wasn't going anywhere. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice for Isabella, for me, and for everyone Marina had silenced. The real war was just beginning. The next morning, Raymond's body was found at the bottom of the stairs at the construction site. The police called it an accident, saying he was drunk, but the diary was missing from his pocket. I sat alone in our house, surrounded by half-packed boxes, when Lucas came home. Did you know? His voice was quiet. About Isabella? About being my stepsister? I touched the pendant. I just found out. Did you know about what your mom did? Lucas slumped against the wall. Mom says Raymond was drunk and made up stories about Isabella. But I don't know what to believe. He wouldn't look at me. But Mom is right about one thing. This needs to stop. My phone buzzed. Julian had sent a video. It was security footage from the construction site, showing Marina following Raymond up the stairs the night before. Your dad wasn't drunk, I said, showing Lucas the video. But before I could show him more, my phone went black. It's dead, I said. Mom wants us home tonight to talk about the funeral arrangements, Lucas said quietly. You mean to make sure everyone sticks to her story, I said, staring at him. He finally met my eyes. Pack your things, Serafina. Whatever this is, it's over. I laughed, but it sounded hollow. Your mom just killed my only link to finding out what happened to Isabella. My mother. This isn't over. It's just beginning. Lucas looked at me. Then you'll have to choose, he said, his voice cracking. The truth about Isabella or me. I touched my wedding ring, thinking about our vows to always be honest with each other. I already have, I said. After he left, I found another perfume bottle on our bed. A note was inside. It read, Poor Raymond chose the past over his family. Don't make the same mistake. My phone was still dead. Julian wasn't answering his phone. The copies of the evidence he told me about, were they real or had Marina already made him get rid of them? I was alone now. No friends, no evidence. No proof of what really happened to Isabella or Raymond. All I had was 2 perfume bottles that could hurt me and a husband who chose to believe his mother's lies instead of his wife's truth. But as I packed my bags, I realized something. Marina made one big mistake. She thought she was fighting Isabella's daughter, but she had actually made a mistake. She had made someone with nothing left to lose. Julian's text came at midnight. Mom's office now. I found something. I snuck into the Prescott building using Lucas's key card, the one he had forgotten at home. The top floor was dark except for Marina's office, where one lamp lit up the shadows. But it wasn't Julian waiting for me. It was Marina. Wondering where your brother-in-law is? She asked, sitting behind her desk with Isabella's diary open in front of her. He's safe, unlike Raymond, Marina said. What did you do to Julian? I asked. The same thing I did 25 years ago. Protected my family. She picked up a perfume bottle. Isabella wore this the night she threatened to tell everyone about the stolen money, fake contracts, everything. I touched my pendant. You mean when she tried to stop you from stealing her money? Marina laughed. Oh, darling, it was never hers. Ask your grandmother, the one who helped me make Isabella disappear. The floor felt like it was tipping under me. You're lying, I whispered. Am I? Marina slid a yellowed letter across the desk. It was in my grandmother's handwriting. It was a plan to frame Isabella for fraud and make her run away. My grandmother's signature was on it, next to Marina's. Why? My voice cracked. Because Isabella was going to destroy everything, just like you're trying to do now. Marina's mask broke, and she started to look angry. Sometimes, we have to become monsters to protect the people we love, just like you protected Raymond. Raymond made his choice, I said, just like Lucas made his. Then the door opened behind me. Lucas stepped in, his face serious. I'm sorry, Serafina, he said quietly. But Mom's right. Some secrets have to stay buried for the family. I took a step back. There is no family, just her web of lies. Then why are you really here? Marina asked. Revenge? Justice? Or are you afraid of becoming just like me? I pulled out my phone, the red recording light blinking. Neither, I said. I'm here because Julian needed someone to hear your confession while he took the real evidence to the police. Marina's face turned pale. Lucas looked shocked. Isabella didn't just leave me her pendant, I continued. She left a paper trail. One Julian found in Raymond's safe right after you killed him. Suddenly, police sirens could be heard outside. Marina lunged for her desk drawer, but Lucas grabbed her arm before she could reach it. It's over, Mom, he whispered as the officers rushed in. I looked at myself in the window. I didn't see Isabella's daughter or Marina's victim. I saw myself, finally free of both of them. 6 months after Marina's arrest, I was in my new office at Collins Fragrances, unpacking the last box. The morning paper was on my desk. It said the Prescott Company was changing and had new leaders. Julian came in through the door. We hadn't talked since the trial. He put the divorce papers on my desk. I signed them, I said. I looked at Isabella's pendant. How's your mother? I asked. Prison therapy is part of the plea deal, he said. She asks about you sometimes. She says you remind her of herself before everything happened. That's what she was afraid of, I said quietly. Julian picked up a perfume bottle that Marina had sent me. Maybe she saw what she could have been if she'd made different choices. I signed the papers. My new signature felt strange but right. What about you? I asked. Still trying to save the family's legacy? He smiled sadly. No, I'm trying to build something honest this time. Julian's helping me start my own company. Something smaller, cleaner. As he turned to leave, he stopped. Did you ever find out about Isabella? Yes, I said softly. Julian's investigator found her in Buenos Aires. She died 10 years ago from cancer. My voice cracked. She wanted to come back, but my mother's threat stopped her. Julian nodded. He left, and I opened my computer. There was an email from him. Found this in Raymond's old files. Thought you should have it. The email had an attachment. A photo of Isabella holding me as a baby, with Raymond watching from the door. On the back, in Raymond's handwriting, it said, "The truth always finds its way home." I put the photo next to the 3 perfume bottles on my shelf. Marina's threats were now reminders of how far I had come. My phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Collins about our new fragrance launch. The name of the line was Legacy. It was my idea, not for the Prescott family's legacy of secrets and control, but for Isabella's legacy of courage and truth, for Raymond's final act of bravery, for my own journey from victim to survivor. I touched Isabella's pendant one last time before going to my first board meeting. The scent of my new perfume filled the air. It wasn't jasmine and vanilla like Marina's, but something completely my own. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's refusing to become them, and instead, choosing to become yourself. If this story resonated with you or sparked new thoughts, I'd love to hear your perspective. Please share your insights in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay connected and never miss our upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.